one, a masterpiece. Toast to the gods. She's the one, a masterpiece.
My name is Stephen Lurie. I'm with B2B Rocks. I'm our Chief Engagement Officer. Thank you for your patience as we get started here. First off, I'd like to thank Salesforce, represented today by Pascal Ruby, who is a B2B Rocks partner. They're today's webinar sponsor, but they're also an event sponsor. Speaking of the event, it's now officially 7 days away, and tickets are getting pretty close. So if you want to get your tickets, it's pretty much getting to be now or never. So just keep that in mind. So that's going to be a really exciting event. We're looking forward to that. And now that we've gotten kind of that housekeeping business out of the way, I want to talk a little bit about the subject. This was a really interesting subject to research. So we're talking about partner-led growth today, the other PLG. There's a lot of big consulting groups that have written a lot about this, that partnering, there's just tons of benefits to partnering as far as go-to-market strategy. We're going to do our best to explore that today. And I guess, we've done several webinars over our season of webinars as we've been getting going here. The webinars, the themes of the webinar is we talked early on about international expansion. Then we talked about infrastructure and PLG, and the core aspect of each one of these, really the theme that brought these all together, is growth. And I guess PLG is as a marketing person, PLG is kind of more natural for me to talk about. And I guess this subject, partner-led growth, is especially interesting. I think this is really interesting, unexplored, and really underexploited and underutilized avenue of growth. And we'll go into that and explore that. What's interesting is that it's an avenue of growth for everybody. So through combining great products, everybody's end client grows, and then the partners themselves, from startups to scale-ups to more mature SaaS companies like Salesforce, all grow. So we'll go that and explore that today. Finally, just a thing, someone just added question in there. Please put your questions in there, and I will try and get to them as we go through here, kind of in the course of how we talk about this. And with that, maybe kind of let our participants introduce themselves, take a moment. And so Pascal, starting with you, could you introduce yourself?
Yep, thank you, Steve. Hi guys, so I am Pascal Ruby. I work for Salesforce, and I lead the team in charge of helping entrepreneurs build their solution and start their business on the Salesforce platform. So I'm at the very beginning of tech partnerships on the Salesforce side.
Great. Matthieu?
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Matthieu. I'm the VP for partnerships in Europe for Aircall. So we have partners mostly in two categories. One are the technology partners like Salesforce, our first partners, by the way. And then we have the channel partners, so the integrators who will be helping our other partners and ourselves to integrate our solution with the client systems.
And finally, not but least, not at all, Simon, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Hi everyone, I'm Simon Bouchez. I've been an entrepreneur in SaaS for the past, almost 15 years now. We've launched the first company in HR technology and sold it to SAP back in 2016. And now I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Reveal that we launched early 2020. And we serve a partnership team, and we are trying to build a product to enable partnership between B2B companies.
Okay, great. I guess to start things up, maybe just provide a little bit of context for everybody. So let's just talk about SaaS partnering and just in general, what is changing related to SaaS partnering. So Pascal, maybe start with you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I can take that one. What I would say is that when I joined Salesforce several years ago, 7 to 8 years ago, the technology partnership were strategic already, in the sense that it was strategic to educate the market, to lead the market to move into the cloud. And we needed to make sure that there was plenty of solutions available in addition to the Salesforce solution, so that customers could consider really moving to the cloud. Today, this is behind us because most applications are now running in the cloud. And one of the benefits of going all cloud for customers is now to break the silos, to make the data and the processes, so to open the data and the processes to more users. And in this context, I would say technology partnership remain or are even more strategic than they used to be when I joined. So it's even more important to be part of a connected ecosystem. What's more, I would say SaaS applications have definitely changed the expectations around time to value. Customers expect, let's say, faster implementation time and shorter ROI. And again, being part of a tech partner ecosystem is very instrumental in, let's say, meeting these customer expectations. That's what I see in terms of trend as a whole.
Okay. Matthieu, what's your take on it? What do you see?
Yeah, I think I can only echo what Pascal just said. It's really about now building those kind of ecosystems, breaking those silos, making sure that thanks to your partners, you are not just leveraging your resources, but you are leveraging all the resources of the ecosystem. And this is quite a big change when you think of it in terms of strategy. I remember almost 10 years ago when I joined a consulting firm, strategy was more about to optimize your own resources. Now, especially for SaaS business, strategy is all about optimizing not just your resources, but also the resources of your partners. And this is where it becomes really strategic. It's that it can help you to have a kind of multiplicator effect to your resources. It can be for lead generation. But not only, it's also because by combining your products together, you will be able to bring to the customer something that is much more valuable to it, and even more than just the sum of the different solutions. Because with the close integration, like the one we have with Salesforce, for instance, we are bringing much more efficiency than if people have Salesforce on one side and Aircall on the other side. So it's really a big change, a radical shift. And you have to go into that mood to become closer and closer to your partners, have those integrations, because if you don't, and your competitors will, you will have quickly a very strong gap in terms of competitiveness and value for the customers, because one will provide a smoothless journey across many different products, and the other will be just one silo among others.
Yeah, I just want to say that the term we talk a lot about is force multiplier. And as I looked at this sector, and that was the term that came up, force multiplier, and a little bit like a rock band. Together, you can make good music, but alone, it's just noise. So that's really interesting. Simon, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I largely agree to everything Matthieu and Pascal just said, but just to add a couple of thoughts, because when we were thinking about launching a new company, we kind of started thinking about what are the key trends and the key things that are happening in SaaS and in B2B. We have been in B2B software for quite a long time, and we quickly kind of identified this idea of what we called at the time B2B collaboration and partnership as a key area for growth, and also something in a business process that was ready for acceleration. I'm not going to use the word disruption, but like really acceleration. If you look at the past decade, you've seen SaaS products being built for pretty much everything. So you have a lot of business processes that are now covered very well by very specialized and high value SaaS, very vertical. If you compare with SAP and all the other guys that have built platforms that are doing a little bit of everything and are basically the one-stop shop to build your business, now you have a bunch of SaaS products that are available to run very specific process super well. And what it means is that you provide more value, but the end user experience is also very complicated because it's kind of all over the place and it's kind of a mess to manage, from the buying experience to the end user experience on all fronts, it makes everything complicated. So it has forced vendors and companies building SaaS products to rethink the way they go to market, to think it in a way that is much more connected and interconnected. I think there is a very good article that was published by a VC firm called OpenView. They are actually the firm that coined the term product-led growth in the first place. And now they are talking about the age of connected work. And what they mean by that is this idea of interconnecting and making the solution work together. And I think to go back to the topic of the day, it has a clear implication and ramification to how this company will go to market. Because once you are integrated, once you have to build these bridges and these connections with others, once you have to extend your product and your value prop, then you need to leverage that as a go-to-market and a growth lever. And I think that's what we are seeing today. Aircall is a perfect example, I think, of that kind of strategy. Salesforce is also one that is clearly a pioneer on that front. And finally, I would say that SaaS partnership in general is probably experiencing a very similar transformation than marketing 10 or 15 years ago, when it was seen as a support function. And now, every marketing department within SaaS companies is kind of a critical aspect for growth. And I think the same thing is going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years with partnerships.
We'll talk a little bit later in the webinar about what you guys do at Reveal, but I think that's a really interesting observation, acceleration. I'm a big fan of Schumpeter and creative destruction, but you guys aren't disrupting so much as accelerating. I mean, you're not disrupting a process that exists, but you've almost invented a whole new way to do things. So we'll talk about that. So I like that idea of acceleration. I think before we go on, it would be useful kind of to give an overview of AppExchange. And how you help your partners get in the Salesforce cloud and Pascal, as well as and deliver client or value for your end clients. Why don't you go over that a little bit?
Yeah, so the AppExchange is, let's say, the place. It's a Salesforce marketplace. This is the place where our customers can find solutions to complement our own solutions or other applications that run on our platform and that are available in the cloud, but only for B2B SaaS application. Okay. On this marketplace, customers can, let's say, browse all these listings, these applications by either industry, market segment, so company size, or by vertical domain, or by Salesforce product that solutions are complementing. It's a living space. New applications are added every month, and new releases are uploaded every month as well. So we see customers come and visit on a regular basis this AppExchange in order to check for new ideas, such as the Reveal or the Aircall apps, or new updates, so that it's a source for innovation, for new ideas to fuel their own growth, I would say.
Okay, just quickly, I guess just maybe if you could clarify too, what are the benefits for all the different parties? I mean, you have you guys, you have your partners, and then you have the end client. So maybe you just go over those a little bit.
So I'd say there are 4 benefits if I simplify this quite a lot. The number 1 is time to market for our partners. It's a technology partnership ecosystem. I don't want to elaborate too much on why building on our platform allows our partner to be fast in market with a solution. Just keep in mind, building on the Salesforce platform helps build fast and scale fast the solution, right? I would not, it's the number 1 benefit. Then I'd rather focus on the second one, which is related to this ability to be part of a connected ecosystem, which enables our partners to articulate, let's say, an end-to-end story, a very comprehensive story that is much, much more than just their own solution. And by doing this, let's say the discussion partners can have with their customers enables them to show the value. Think of a chain link. So think of a chain. Partner solution is one link of the chain, but you need the entire chain in order to deliver the value. You can talk about the chain and sell your link. It still works. That's kind of what it is about. So it's about building trust about the fact that you are part of the chain and you are one link, but value is available because you are part of the chain. That's, according to me, is the main benefit that we provide to our partners, and ultimately because it is fast to implement to our customers. Number 3 is the market reach for our partners. Being part of an ecosystem, again, you are more visible. I spoke about the App Exchange just before. There are a couple of thousands, several thousands applications, which is quite a lot. So enough to be comprehensive in terms of solution at a given point in time, but still reasonable to be able to be visible for any partner joining the App Exchange. In terms of market reach, I think Simon and Matthieu are on the partner side and they can further elaborate on that. What I just would like to say is that it's not about just listing an app on the App Exchange. Think of you need to carry something that is heavy. So you need help. You call for people show up and join, but they don't really carry anything. It's not changing the thing. You still can carry the same weight. Whereas if everyone starts really contributing and carrying, being part of it, it's insane how far you can go carrying something very, very heavy. It's kind of the same with the market reach and this go-to-market strategy. If everyone is proactive, then it works really well. This is what I wanted to share. It's joining and being proactive, make it really valuable for everyone, Salesforce, our partners, and our customers. And last, it's, let's say, customer satisfaction, cost of ownership, call it the way you want. What we see is that customers are more satisfied with solutions that are well connected together and that can innovate at their own pace and remain working together, keep going, working well together. And it's part of the customer satisfaction. It's lowering the total cost of ownership. It's ensuring innovation, continuous innovation for our customers. So these are the 4 benefits I would consider as part of the partner ecosystem, tech partner ecosystem.
Okay, that's good. Matthieu, just we were talking about this a little bit earlier, right before the webinar, but just you guys started very early on integrating into Salesforce. You guys have built other integrations into other platforms as well, but can you talk a little bit about that experience and the history behind that and explain what the philosophy was there?
Yeah, so indeed, Salesforce was probably the first integration we built. Then we built many other. We have ourselves also our App Exchange with our app marketplace, sorry, with more than 100 integrations now. So you have a lot of different applications. A lot of them are complementary to Aircall and Salesforce, so they are all going together. Like you can add, for instance, Gombeaud or Mojo to Aircall and Salesforce to have some AI on top of the voice solution we are providing. So it's really about nurturing this ecosystem. And I think it echoes what Pascal was saying. We need to keep innovating. We cannot just try to be part of the Salesforce app marketplace and just wait for leads to come. It doesn't work this way. We have to activate them. We have to chase those leads together with AEs at Salesforce, and we have to invest a lot in the relationship to innovate. We have at Aircall, for instance, 2 or 3 teams of devs in permanence developing the next features for our integrations with Salesforce. Some are working only, like we have 2 teams working 100% on the Salesforce integration, and we have multiple other teams working on the Aircall product. So we are innovating both for the product itself, the generic one, and we are also innovating specifically for the integration with Salesforce. For instance, we are now working on the Service Cloud Voice solution that Salesforce is offering. So you need to adapt, you need to fuel that relationship, and this is the way you can grow to make sure that the investment you are putting in the relationship will also benefit to the partner, and the win-win relationship, not just a one-way relationship.
So did I understand that you guys have kind of built your own application exchange too, or your partners are now building?
Yeah, we have our own marketplace where you can also find the different integration and download some of them to have all the integrations you need with Aircall.
Yeah, mimicking, copying somebody is a very high form of compliment. So I think that's great.
Yes, I don't know who Pascal who Salesforce mimicked in the first place. I guess Microsoft invented it in the first place.
I think there's one other thing that we haven't mentioned about this strategy too that's interesting is that it also makes it harder if you're using, for example, a product that's been built on top of Aircall and then Aircall that's built on top of Sales Exchange. It kind of, I mean, you guys are always trying to deliver value and ensure that your customers are successful, but it also makes it harder for the customer just to rip out everything and displace you as well. So that's also an additional benefit, which is, there's a lot more, the relationship is more durable.
Definitely. We have some figures at Aircall, for instance, when like almost 85% of our customers have one integration built with Aircall. So they are not just using Aircall, they are using Aircall and Salesforce or Aircall and Bouchez. But some of them also have more than one integration. And we saw that the customer retention for those with more than two integration is twice the figures that we have for the others. So it's this creates a lot of stickiness, of course.
Okay, that's really interesting. Yeah, the flip side of growth is churn. So those are the two things that everyone's interested in, and of course, the triumvirate, which is ARR. Just really quickly, I did a bad thing. I should have asked you to give us a little bit more details on Aircall. Not everybody here knows. I'm familiar with Aircall, but not everybody is familiar with Aircall and what they do.
Yes, of course. So just in a few words, maybe Aircall is a 100% cloud solution. It's an all-in-one phone software for sales and support team mostly, but basically for anyone in your company having regular touch point with customers. You have advanced features like click to dial. You can have automated call loggings, native reporting, inside cards that pop ups when you call someone or when someone is calling so that you know all the relationship with this customer. You have SMS, a lot of other things. You have a lot of integration, as I just said. So Salesforce integration with a lot of other solutions like AI on top of Aircall. The great thing about Aircall is that you can set it up in minutes. You don't need a lot of efforts to integrate it. It's just a few minutes away from working. And of course, it can increase drastically the efficiency of your teams when they discuss with the customers or the leads.
Yeah. I always like to say, working in the SaaS industry, so many things work well so quickly, it makes me not want to work with my bank. I just curiously, I'd like to know from your experience, because you're the partner, I think you're the VP in charge of partnerships. What were the challenges moving towards this partner first model? What were the big things?
Yeah, so you're touching something that is really important to us, is that we think that we cannot be just putting partnership in place from the partnerships team. We think that the partner should be at the top of the priority for everyone in the company, because when our AEs are discussing, or when our customer success teams are discussing with customers, and there is a partner involved because we have an integration, somehow they also are impacting the image of the partner, and to some extent, they have some kind of responsibility when we have a partnership to make sure that we are at the level of expectation that our partners have towards us. And at the same time, you need to understand that being a part of those kind of ecosystem is also being able to have a two-way effect. In French, renvoyer l'ascenseur, like send the elevator back. So all partners are sending us a lot of leads. We are very grateful for that. We have almost 40%, sometimes even 50% in some regions of our leads coming from our partners. It's amazing. But of course, as we are growing, they are expecting us to send them back also some leads. So all the company needs to work to create that flywheel effect, because when our success team or when our marketing team or when our sales are able to identify those leads and send them back, of course, it starts to create real enthusiasm and collaboration with the partners, and they feel that they can continue to send us leads and reciprocally. And I took the example of leads, but you can do the same with co-marketing activity. As I said before, it's also the same with the product innovations, the new features. It's all about starting igniting those flywheel effect, because once they start running, it's very difficult to stop them. And this is exactly what you want. You want them to run forever and help you keep growing and really fuel your growth.
I think the other thing is working as a team. We don't like to let our teammates down. So if we get going as a team, then we really want to bring the best to our partnership as well. Simon, you'll have to excuse me. We had a lot to talk about there before we could get to you a little bit. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think you guys started also with an integration in Salesforce. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it's quite similar to what Matthieu described. So for us, Salesforce is a key partner, because most of our users, they are also Salesforce customers, right? So a very large portion of our ICP and target customers, they are obviously Salesforce customers. So it was very important from day one to become a Salesforce partner. So that's why I think with the support of Pascal and the rest of the team, we became ISV partners almost when we got started. So it was a way for us to get closer to Salesforce, to start thinking about how we're going to build our integration, our go-to-market model, build a relationship as well with the team, because it's super important to even if you don't yet have the maturity, you need to plan ahead and make sure that you have built this existing and prior relationship before you can effectively activate it, just like Matthieu described. I mean, seriously, 40-50% of your lead coming from partners, that's kind of crazy, right? So I think it speaks for itself. So yeah, for us, we've built not only a strong integration with Salesforce, because we basically enable companies to interconnect their Salesforce org or Salesforce between one another, but also we have built an app available on the App Exchange. And what I would say about that is we serve mostly partnership team with our core product, our standalone platform. But what we can do with the Salesforce app is basically extending our reach and start serving other part of the revenue team. If we take Aircall or any other partnership team, we would probably serve first Matthieu's team, but then the Salesforce app enables us to access other areas of the business, to expand into the account, to create more value, and so on and so forth. And I think it's a good illustration of how an integration can actually fit into a business model, because our model is typically to kind of in a freemium way go after and work very closely with partnership team, and then once they got to value, we can expand and start selling to other personas thanks to the partnership and the integration we have with Salesforce. So there is a clear and perfect alignment between our product strategy and our go-to-market strategy, which I think is really specific and representative of what's going on with SaaS partnership in general.
Yeah, I just want to go back because Matthieu was kind enough to share that statistic, that KPI, 40% of their things are coming from product leads. And that is an amazing number. And he said the churn is lower when people are using multiple applications, which is saying I'm guessing that the ARR is higher too, although he probably won't give me the exact number today on the call or on the webinar. And then finally, you have your last KPI there, the customer acquisition cost. My guess is it's probably lower as well. So it's kind of looking at all the statistics, it would be hard not to want to invest pretty heavily in that channel.
Yeah, exactly. So partnership are really we say at Aircall that really we are an integration first company. The partnership part of the company is really at the core of what Aircall is doing. And yes, the CAC is quite good for the partnership leads, but you have to take into account that those leads, although they seems to come easily, it's not the case. There is a lot of efforts. If you want this partnership strategy to be successful, it cannot just be words about saying we are a partner first company, etc. It has also some concrete action and a lot of investments. It's investment in your product, in your integration. So we have tech teams working only on these integrations. It's also investment in the partnership team. Like at Aircall, we have 50 person. So it's almost 10% of our worldwide resources working in the partnerships teams. It's a lot. I've not seen a lot of unicorns even having more than 2 to 3 person in the partnership department. Most of the time, even when I discuss with very large partners, they have just a few persons in the partnership department. On our side, we are really investing to make sure that we are able to activate all the ecosystems of our partners, both themselves, also their channel partners, the other integrations that come with them, and we make sure we have a close relationship and we are building something to the relationship, bringing something, to the relationship with a lot of innovation, with marketing events that we are trying to organize on our side, but then we let the partners come in. So it's really a lot of effort to make that happen on the resource side, but also in terms of building a program that has meaningful and benefits for the partners. So it's about making very clear for the partner why they should work with you. You can have joint marketing budget, you can have a referral program, mutual referrals, because we are receiving a lot, but of course we try to send as many as we can also. It's sales incentive, commissions plans. There are many things you can put in place to make sure that it's clear for everyone that it's going to be a win-win situation. But that requires a lot of work to build and architecture all those elements.
Wow, and that does sound like quite a bit of work and challenging, but very lucrative in the end. Simon, just really quickly, one of the great parts about my job and was especially interesting this time is I get to look at different companies and I really found your solution especially interesting and really quite innovative. And maybe you can tell us a little bit more about it. I could talk about it, but I think you'd probably know it a lot better than I do.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do my best. I'm not sure, but all right. So I think just to it's not about kind of pitching Reveal or trying to sell what we do to the audience, but I think the opportunity is clear. Like it's exactly what Matthieu just described and what we have been discussing for the past 30 minutes. Like when you have an ecosystem around you, all these people, all these companies, they are basically targeting the same people as you. And when you go to market together, when you have access to more information, when you put kind of co-selling motion in place, when you build trust and so on and so forth, then you end up with a kind of better customer retention, higher win rates. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Now we have access to a lot of data. We have about kind of close to 6,000 companies now on Reveal, and we have millions, hundreds of millions of CRM records. And the data shows that it's basically 2x more revenue when you sell with partners across the board. So it's clear, right? The opportunity is obvious. And now the problem, why have we built the product? I think one of the key problems, there are many challenges, and Matthieu touched on some of these, but I think one of the complicated part of partnership is how do you scale that, right? So you have a team of 2, 3, 5 people, even 10 people. You realize that if you know which account is a Salesforce customer or Mojo or whoever other partner customer, it's great because you have a great win rate, so you want to go after them and you want to make this a process. But having access to that data, collecting the information, making sure there is an alignment with your team, I mean, it's a very tedious and almost impossible process with just a spreadsheet and a couple of people taking meetings and doing calls. So if you want partnership to become a growth lever that is comparable to what marketing does, what direct sales can provide, it has to scale, right? So if you are a 100 million, 200 million AR business, it means it has to drive 30, 40, 50, 100 million AR to be meaningful for your business and to be top of mind for the C-suite, right? So that's what we are trying to solve for with Reveal. So Reveal is basically a social network for companies. You can sign up for free. You plug in your CRM. You can invite partners. We now have a directory where you can browse all the companies that are already on Reveal. You can invite them, and we create a safe space between A and B, 2 companies using Reveal, where they can effectively share data. So it could be stuff like We're going to surface our common customers at a given point in time. We're going to surface our common opportunities. Maybe I'm going to share some of my customers that are not in your CRM because it's extra new leads for you, and that's pretty cool because it's not your business for you, and maybe reversely you can send that information back. And what's pretty interesting for me is I don't come from partnership, and at first when we launched the product, I was like, nobody's going to be crazy enough to share that kind of data because we're going to see a lot of problems arising, and that's going to be a nightmare. 2.5 years later, we have companies like Qualtrics, like Box, like Segment, and many others in the US and in EMEA using the product. And the number of escalation we had to deal with and the number of complaints saying stuff like, yeah, I've lost a deal because of the data is shared, 0. Right? And the number of kind of feedback we got from teams that are saying that they are significantly increasing their pipeline and generating many opportunities is quite impressive, and it makes me really, really bullish and really hopeful for the partnership industry in general, and specifically for us as a company, hopefully.
I just want to draw attention to this because I think this is really interesting. The way I understood it when I first read it is you partnered with Salesforce to help your combined end clients partner around data to grow their businesses. So there's levels to this, and I think that's really great because it's as we were talking about earlier, it's not so much disruptive as it's really a true innovation. You're not, you're kind of disrupting a process, but not a very well established one. It's really almost a new thing in a lot of ways. I think it's just an idea, and I just want to call out, you're very modest about this, but I think the product's been around for I think you said around 2 years, and you guys just raised $50 million in your Series A round, so you must be doing a couple things right. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
It's very interesting.
And I can add to that we are using Reveal almost every day at Aircall, and very happy of it. So congrats indeed, Simon.
That's nothing better than getting a reference like that. Well, just really quickly, interestingly enough, Simon, just as a company, have you guys seen any opportunities to open your own kind of like app exchange type thing and have people build on top of you?
It's a good question. For us, it's probably a little bit early in the process because we are yet to figure out exactly, all the use cases we want to cover and, all the things we want to build ourselves. I think building your own marketplace is something you do when you have reached a very, very clear, strategy, very, very, very clear product strategy. We do have ideas, but we are still a fairly early stage company if you compare with Aircall, for instance. So it's probably still kind of 6-12 months, down the line before we start thinking about this. But we do have a lot of partnership and integration. That said, we have built about 20 integration at this point. So it's part of our DNA, but not in a structured marketplace just yet.
That's great. I only ask because I would like to build kind of an AI integration on top of what you guys do to help people discover new opportunities. So I'm just thinking about that my next gig. So
it's probably something I'm going to do myself. So I'm happy to discuss.
All right, good. It seemed pretty good idea. Pascal, all your partners aren't probably as successful as Aircall or Salesforce. You probably have some that are even more successful. But I guess my question is, how do you make this work for everybody? How do you make this scalable?
Yes, scale is a challenge in itself when you start having several thousand partners, building solutions that are running on your platform or extending your own solution or working with one another, as Matthieu explained, for instance. So it's all about kind of aligning people and making sure, let's say, every partner has a mutual understanding of the other ones. So we are designing our partner program today around 4 core values. The number one is customer success, which is very much related to the value proposition of each partner solution, including ourselves, to the customer. And we try to keep to make sure everyone stays laser focused on what the benefits are for the customer, and getting to a mutual understanding of what value each partner is bringing to this customer helps definitely articulate this end-to-end story that I explained earlier on, and which helps better scale the entire ecosystem, I would say. The second value is growth. This is another challenge that we see for partnerships, I'd say, is that if the operating model are way too different, it's very hard for company to work together. If they do not sell at the same pace, if they do not operate the same way in the sales cycle, like spinning up a demo in a matter of I will say minutes. It could be at least being very reactive to any customer request along the sales cycle, aligning on the funnel and so on. And it goes back to what Reveal is doing, is really important. So aligning the operating model and the growth mindset of partners is also very important. That's the second value. The third one is innovation. We definitely work at motivating our partner to keep innovating as often as they can, because innovation is part of the value proposition of any SaaS company, as I said, and it's valid also for the entire ecosystem. The ecosystem itself brings value to every customer because as a whole, it is innovating. It's really important. We see that the most successful partners are the ones that keep innovating. It's not about listing an app on the App Exchange. It's about, let's say, keeping increasing the value. And the last one is, I call it lead with impact. Lead. We have introduced our 1-1-1 model, our philanthropic model, in the very beginning of the company. And we want to motivate and support our partners to also join us in giving back to the rest of the community. And these are opportunities for teams to get together in a non-business related context, but it also helps first give back, second build stronger relationship. That's the way we scale our ecosystem.
Okay. That's really interesting. I just want to give a heads up to everybody. So two things. So we're coming up on around 12 minutes left in the webinar. Time always goes quickly when you're talking about an interesting subject. And someone came up with a question here. I already have my answer I'd like to give, but I think they're more interested in your responses. So they talk about, I'm going to just read the question. So taking into account your experiences in partner-led growth, strategies, and ROI, do you think you could recommend a right balance between investment between product-led growth and partner-led growth? He's saying, should it be 50-50 or should it be, any thoughts on this?
I would say that you should not oppose both. A lot of the investment we are making on our product is actually to serve our partners, as I was saying. So there is a clear overlap, of course, not 100%, but almost. And as Pascal just said, it's about bringing innovation to the partnership. So when you invest in your product, most of the time you are also indirectly investing for your partners. So I would say it's the sum of the two parts will be more than 100. But I would say you need to have a great product if you want the partnership to be successful. It cannot be otherwise. So for me, the product should remain your first priority, but it will serve your partners.
Yeah, and also if I just may add one word on this, I think it largely depends on where you are at in your journey, right? Because if you're just getting started and you have close to 0 customers and users, I mean, probably focusing on product-led growth and acquiring your first users and your first cohort of super fans that will create value with your product should probably be the 100% focus of your business. But once you get to scale and you have a few hundred, a few thousand users, and more importantly, happy users, then I think very quickly, especially with product-led growth, you can start thinking about partnership, because product-led growth means usually self-adoption. It's usually a vertical process, just like that you're covering with the product. So the integration with other tools becomes almost critical, especially if you want to retain user. And one of the problems with PLG is that product-led growth, that user retention is complicated. And typically, if I use, I don't know, a to-do list app, if I integrate that with my Gmail or my calendar on Google, then my likelihood of kind of sticking to that app for the next 6 months will increase. I don't know by how much, but drastically. So it shows that having a partnership and an integration strategy early on will help, even if bootstrapping something is always it's on you, not on partners, to bootstrap your business and your product.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I'm glad the person brought up the question about PLG, because we previously had a webinar about PLG, and of course everyone's super interested in it. I think it's interesting because Pascal also talked about infrastructure, so people can choose to build their own application that sits apart, or I think also build or using their own technologies, or they can build applications. I think Salesforce app offers kind of low code and node code tools to help people build their application as well to get going. And I think that might be especially useful. I'm not sure about this, but I'm proof of concepts, but that's interesting that ties in. Just be curious, I have a quick question on this about international expansion as well. Does being on the App Exchange also get you more international exposure? I mean, is that like out of the box international marketplace? So we talked about reach early, maybe Pascal or Simon or Matthieu, or the three of you, if you have any comments on that.
Who wants to take it? I can confirm App Exchange is global first. And I see partners operate with inside sales team and sell everywhere from one office location. That's the beauty of the cloud, because you can provision a solution anywhere in the world, and with inside sales team you can implement a sales cycle that can be 100% remote with trials and demos and things like that. So it is global, but I'll defer to, let's say, Matthieu and Simon are probably.
For us it's a bit specific, because yes, it's global and it's bringing us global leads for sure, and we are really happy about that. It's also indicators where there is a bit more demand, which country should be our next target. But now we are already quite big. We are operating in I think more than 90 countries. And the thing about Aircall and the phone solution is that it's still phone and telephony, and we are not just doing via IP, so not just phone over internet, but also with our solution you can also call the real landlines. So this does not work just with internet. You need to have a specific contract with the local providers. So just by being on the App Exchange is not allowing us to be on any market. We need also to have some specific agreement with the local telco providers, which we have now in more than 90 countries. So yes, it helps us a lot on this one, but we have to follow those efforts with also other partnerships with the telco providers.
Yeah. And Steve, maybe just to add a couple of anecdotes on this. So not specifically about us as a company, but what we have seen recently with some of our users. In Europe, one of the challenges when you build a company is to expand to, let's say, Germany or Spain, because these are companies just next door, but very countries that are very close, but also very different. And you need to kind of rebuild, rethink your product, localize your content and everything. And also you need to rethink your lead gen strategy. Even if you have a good understanding of your ICP and everything, like all the mechanism to identify the key targets, identify, where they are, how to reach out to them and everything has to be rebuilt. And it's a very complicated process. And something we've seen in the kind of, in the SaaS, for SMB space, if you will, like from spend management to travel management to cash management, all these kind of apps serving SMEs, when they want to expand to another country, they tend to partner up together, build an integration. The better together story and the value prop is very clear. And they basically swap, information and intelligence about their local market. So if you have a German-based company working with a French company, then there is a very interesting synergy. And they can basically trade one for one, German customers with French customers to put it simply. And I think it's a very nice use case, especially for Europe. It's been a challenge for Europe to become a unified market. And I think that's one of the biggest problems we face as an ecosystem compared to the US. And probably partnership will be an important solution to that problem.
Yeah, I know. I think local culture is great, but it's true that the fact that in the United States you have 350 million consumers and employees that are all speaking the same language in a single unified market. That makes things a little easier for companies, and one of the reasons. And it's interesting your point about expanding is that despite its cloud, we often think of expanding as proximity and so next door neighbors, and but that could really help people overcome that challenge of going to next door things. We're down to our last 5 minutes. I want to just hit on go to market. So specifically, any thoughts on getting go to market right? We're going to change things up and maybe start with Simon. Were there any challenges on the go to market side getting this done for you, especially, or looking back, things you would have done differently, or there's always things we do differently, but we can look back.
Did we have any challenges on the go-to-market side? I mean, obviously,
Sorry.
yes.
I came up with that question just now, so you got me there. Yes.
No. Obviously, no. It's super complicated because you have to get everything right and everything aligned. I think for us, what has been the most important was to have our go-to-market built in. So Reveal is a very kind of network effect driven type of platform, because basically, if you manage to get two companies to connect and find value, the next thing they want to do is to invite other partners they'd like to connect with. So organically, it creates a flow of leads, of new signups, of new users, and you can very quickly grow to a large number of companies using the product, but also you can grow internationally. I think we mentioned Aircall, but Content Square or other great French unicorns have adopted our product very early on, and they are super exposed to the US market, for instance. And that has allowed us to be present in the US super rapidly, almost out of the gate. I think in Q1, 2 months after the MVP launch, we had our first users in the US. And that allows us to have a 50-50 split, like 50% of our user base is US companies, and the other half is EMEA. And only 20% approximately are French companies, which is very unusual for a French-funded type of business. But yeah, we have kind of the list of challenges we still face from a GTM standpoint is longer than I can remember. But it's been important from day one to think about distribution in our product. I think that's a mistake I see many founders, first-time founder doing. Like, you think about the value prop, you think about the product and the design, but you don't necessarily think about how you will distribute that product. Typically, what Matthieu was explaining with the relationship with telco providers and everything, it probably ties back to the way you go to market. And if you have thought it through and you implement the strategy early on, then you can really deploy and scale rapidly. And I think that's what we've done up to this point, and we need to kind of improve further in the next few months and years.
It sounds like it helps kind of with that creating a viral effect. I mean, it's the kind of part of it. We're running out of time, so let me leave the time for you, Matthieu and Pascal. Last comments?
Yes, maybe just a few words regarding the go-to-market. Indeed, just to give you a quick example, initially we had two very separate teams to address the partners that were what we call the technology partners, like Salesforce, and we have the channel partners on the other side. And the teams were even competing on their quotas because either the leads were sourced from one or from the other. But now we are trying to have those two teams working together with common targets, common managers, to make sure that we are addressing both sides of the ecosystem. And of course, the sum of the previous quota is lower than the actual quota of the combined teams, because now they are collaborating. They can influence deals both from, for instance, Salesforce side, but also from the channel partners of Salesforce, and it's much more efficient. So you need to have those kind of mindset of thinking what will be the most efficient way to leverage your partners to go to market in combination with all the product and technical aspects of localization, for instance.
Okay, great. That's really interesting. Pascal, any last comments? We're down to 48 seconds.
That's very short. No, but I will echo what Matthieu just said, what Simon just said as well. Go-to-market is so partners should not look only at Salesforce in terms of go-to-market. It's the entire ecosystem empowering the go-to-market. Okay, and let's say all the application are Lego bricks that enable also consulting partners or customers to build their own, to assemble their solution together. And it also has to be taken into account in the go-to-market strategy.
And we'll leave it with that. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you for the session today. It was really informative.
Thanks
Thank you.
for hosting, Sim.